Case Files, where we dive into our players. In today's episode, we're going to take a closer look at Scotty Miller, the wide receiver from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But first, if you want to do a huge favor for your boy by hitting that like button, and if you want to dislike this video, hit that dislike button. It won't hurt your boy's feelings. Well, maybe just a little bit. If you guys like what I do on this channel, hit that subscribe button to help out the empire grow tremendously. So on that note, let's continue with the episode. This is a very interesting proposition for Scotty Miller to the Atlanta Falcons because on paper, it doesn't look fascinating for his 4 years in Tampa. It looks pretty mediocre at best. Obviously, his best season was back in 2020 when he had 53 targets and he caught 33 receptions. He played in 16 games. He had a grand total of 501 receiving yards and 3 scoring touchdowns. That's pretty good. But outside of that, everything else looks so pedestrian. And the question is, what happened and whom happened that Scotty Miller's career is not with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anymore? Definitely a good strong argument is his injury history. You know, back in 2019, he suffered a hamstring injury, and then 2021, you know, he suffered a turf toe that kind of ended his season where he missed 7 games. So obviously that's a huge benefactor. And then also you have to think about that he is competing to be on the roster and also being on the battlefield where he has to go against 16 other Buccaneers wide receiver. And that's a very tough task, especially from a young man who came out of Bowling Green in the 6th round from 2019 in the NFL draft. And what we're going to see today is how Scotty Miller came back from all those injuries and see what he progressed in 2022. So let's just dive into the video. In Week 3, against the Green Bay Packers, Scotty Miller had a neutral game. He was targeted 5 times, caught 1 reception for a grand total of 4 yards and 0 touchdowns. And the reason why I said a neutral game, well, there was a lot of missed opportunities that were thrown his way, and also he got his starting slot receiver spot. But also he had Russell Gage starting on the left side and Breshad Perriman starting on the right side. And even still, he didn't really do too much to really infect the game. So let's just dive into the video to see why. So on this play, Scotty Miller is going to be in a go route formation, and he's going against Rasul Douglas, who's usually their nickel corner for the Packers. But of course, one of their stars got injured, so they put him against Scotty Miller. And Scotty Miller does a pretty good job to make sure he doesn't get jammed. He does his nice steps to making sure that he gets enough separation to try to catch his ball. But you also have to give credit where credit's due, because Douglas does also a good job to make sure he does not get the ball as well. So this is why it is a natural play, because both of them does a pretty good job to counteract with each other. Sometimes you're gonna have negate plays where someone does an incredible job, like Scotty Miller when he does a comeback route perfectly, by the way, against, you know, Douglas right here. So nice good step, give enough separation, enough stop on a dime, and making sure you have good leap and catchability to get this. But of course it goes out of bounds before it can make it, you know, a first down. So that's why it's called a negate attack. So on this play, the Buccaneers are going to do a little trickery, and Scotty Miller is going to do it in dig route. And unfortunately, Tom Brady does not match up to Scotty Miller's speed a little bit, because he throws a little bit behind where Scotty Miller's supposed to be more on the right side of the field. But of course, the Green Bay Packers kind of used a blitz concept to spook Tom Brady, where he had to throw it before he was going to be taking a sack. So that's why it was launched a little bit too early and not enough in the right direction that Scotty was supposed to be in. This is a very good example where a lot of times players have missed opportunities regardless if they're in the right or they were in the wrong. And Scotty Miller does a pretty good flat route where he could have caught this reception for a first yard and gained more extra yardage on his stat sheet. But of course, it's no fault of his or the quarterback. It all depends on how the quarterback feels comfortable enough where he see wide open spots. And that so happened to be where Russell Gage was at that previous time. And so that's where Tom Brady's focus was at the entire time, if you clearly see in this clip. So it happens, it is what it is, and you can't say anything else about it. So we have another similar outcome for Scotty Miller like the previous play, where he does a nice job in getting wide open space but still didn't get the target because Tom Brady wasn't even looking at Scotty Miller's direction at the whole entire time. He was looking at Russell Gage again. Probably because the quarterback was getting rushed and he just saw Russell Gage down the middle. On this play, Scotty Miller is going to do a weird inside slant route. I think it's a slant route. He kind of half-assed it. But this is pretty much his first reception in the entire game. And the game is almost over. So that kind of pretty much sums up the entire summary of this game. So on this play, Scotty Miller is going to do a curl route, but of course it doesn't work perfectly because Devontae Campbell sniffs it out and hits him, so it makes it an incomplete pass. And great job on Devontae Campbell's part. Man, I missed him. Former Falcon was a beast. We should have signed him back. I know that's going on a tangent, but that's how I feel. In Week 5, against the Atlanta Falcons, Scotty Miller had another neutral game. He was targeted 7 times, caught 4 receptions for a grand total of 35 yards and 0 touchdowns. But this time, the starters were Mike Evans starting in the left side, Chris Godwin starting on the right side, and Russell Gage starting on the slot position. So let's see how Scotty Miller reacts to his predicament. We have another natural play where all 3 contestants, the quarterback, the corner, and the wide receiver all played their part pretty well. Where Tom Brady throws the ball pretty deep and pretty accurate. You have Scotty Miller who does an excellent go route. And then you have Casey Hayward to making sure that he sticks by a man and making sure Scotty Miller does not get the ball at all costs. All these guys did an excellent job. On this play, this is Scotty Miller's specialty when it comes to speed. He does an excellent curl route, getting over Rashaan Evans and then catching the ball even though he's getting tackled by Richie Grant. And we can see it right here again where he used that speed to angle his body properly so he can catch his ball instead of Richie Grant, or making sure it's not be an incomplete pass. So on this play, Scotty Miller is going to show us how he uses a nice dig route where he gets away from Malik Walker to catch this amazing first down leverage. So I love how he just uses his hips to bend so quickly enough where he gets enough separation, he catches the ball, and he knows he's going to take a hit, so he just goes down without a fight. Perfect job. On this drive, I want to show you guys that he's not just a slot guy. You could put him on the outside, and he does a pretty good job when he does an inside dig route where he has a nice, good step, wide open space, and he just cuts really good. You see how he uses his hands and his feet to make sure he catches his ball when he's going lower. Excellent job. Just to showcase that he can also be a major factor if we put him on the outside instead of the inside as well. That's called versatility, my boys. On this drive, I don't like how the Falcons just blitz where you gave Scotty Miller a wide open space coverage to try to get a first down. Now, obviously, he doesn't convert, but you can see here he's not contested where Tom Brady quickly understands what's going on, so he throws him the ball because he's wide open, and so that leaves the corner to making sure he does not get a first down. So give it up to the corner because he does not allow Scotty Miller to get this first down. So now they have to go, 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1 situation, but still a good play by both sides of the parties. So on this drive, the Buccaneers are going to use a play action pass, and then Scotty Miller is going to do a fade route, and he does a pretty good job doing it, and he almost catches this incredible ball, and maybe for a touchdown if Scotty Miller didn't get so close to the edge. And he does beat D. Alford, but I will give D. Alford the benefit of the doubt where he would just keep contesting, even though, it could have been, should have been a flag maybe here and there. Luckily it wasn't, but it was still an incredible play. But, it's just a negate attack as well, where if the ref didn't see any funny business, then it's fair. In Week 9, against the Los Angeles Rams, Scotty Miller had a good game in some type of weird fashion. I had to put him in because it's just too weird. You guys have to see for yourself. So he was targeted 8 times, caught 7 receptions for 53 yards and 0 touchdowns. And the starters were Mike Evans on the left side, Chris Godwin on the right side, and this time for the starting slot position is Julio Jones, the former Falcon and the guy who broke my heart. Okay, so anyways, let's just dive into the video to see why he got so many receptions even though he wasn't the starter. So the reason why Scotty Miller does not get a first down, even though he does a pretty good, nice inside dig route, even though he wasn't contested, because the Rams defense allowed all the wide receivers to get free space, to making sure none of them go over the top if Tom Brady decides to throw the ball over their head. That allowed the Rams to tackle anybody directly underneath them. On this play, it's just a simple screen route that Scotty Miller is going to do, but the crazy thing about this is that Scotty Miller is going to get his second reception and is in the fourth quarter under 6 minutes left of the entire game. And the reason why is because Tom Brady has so many options he can go towards the entire game until this fourth quarter is happening now. So the reason why Scotty Miller gets away with this slant route is because the Rams defense is playing under a soft zone coverage that allows him to get open yardage. Yet again, the Rams are playing in a soft zone coverage and Scotty Miller is going to get the ball. But what I'm very interested is his instinctive of the awareness of what he has to do with the ball. Now, obviously, if you looked at it for a split second, he might have thought maybe going down the field to get extra yards, or he realized what's on the field and how much time is left on the clock. And that's what I'm looking for in seeing a wide receiver, is timing and understanding the situation that he's placed upon. And that's what I like about Scotty Miller's game. So on this play, Georgia fans will probably know who this corner is, Darian Kendrick, and Scotty Miller beats his man and almost catches his touchdown, but unfortunately Tom Brady kind of throws a little bit too high for him that it hits his helmet. But either way, this would have been an incredible touchdown catch by Scotty Miller because he does an excellent job on the inside dig route to try to catch this touchdown, but unfortunately it just wasn't in the cards. So on this play, I want to emphasize this deeply and really constructively and telling you guys that Scotty Miller was a no-show in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter until the fourth quarter, only because he didn't get the opportunity, because he didn't start right away, and Tom Brady was focused on other Buccaneers weapons. That when you give him a fighting chance and when you give him the shot to absolutely move the chains, he can do it. He has perfect route running. He has perfect, separation speed. And the lack of opportunities for this young man showcased right here against the Rams, where he was a no-show only because Tom Brady wasn't even focusing on him in all those three quarters until the very end, where they need him to move the chains to help them win this game. In fact, he does on the second to last play where Tom Brady throws him the ball. He catches it, and then that gives Tom Brady to throw the game-winning touchdown because Scotty Miller was so important to this game. And that's what I'm all saying about this entire game, that if you give Scotty Miller a chance, he will definitely benefit for this team. So what is the final verdict for Scotty Miller? Well, it's not that quite simple as it seems. I think he has a lot of potential for the Atlanta Falcons to become something even more than just a typical slot receiver. He could definitely play on the outside looking in type of situation. No, obviously playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by stat-wise alone is pretty trash. It's not that anything to write home about, but we have to remember he was competing for a roster spot so much every single year because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had some pretty good, intelligent, capable of wide receivers, especially in 2020, where that's his most impressive defeat. Because remember, in 2020, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cameron Brate and Rob Gronkowski, and then Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones II, and then LaShawn McCoy, just a name a few, of course. But then obviously he got hurt with that turf toe and that kind of derailed him. So obviously is what you do after that injury, how you become stronger in 2022. Obviously is not the best looking stat wise because most people don't consider injury wise and how much you have to come back from the grind, mental state capacity and all that other crazy palaver that players have to come back from injuring themselves. So obviously, he was still targeted 40 times, caught 23 receptions. Now, obviously, no touchdowns and nothing really to write home about but receiving yards, but it's all about the opportunities he had and to fight to get on the field as well. So obviously, at the end of the day, it didn't pan out because he's coming to the Atlanta Falcons, but that might be a good thing. That might be a benefactor for him as well, to give him a fresh start, to really understand who he is as a person, and maybe a new city, a new team, a new playing style is probably the best calling card for him right now in his NFL career, and maybe maybe that's a good situation on both parties, on both sides of the aisle. So I'm happy and I'm hoping that this will definitely give him a household name that he definitely deserves, because he's not a bad player by any means necessary. It's just sometimes, unfortunately, players are just dealt with bad situations, but hopefully he can rise up to the occasion and become something better of himself. So on that note, if you guys lasted this long to the very end, thank you guys so much for taking your own personal time and day to watch these videos. I love making Falcon content for you guys. So on the next episode will be the last one. So what do Falcons do? Rise up. Until the next episode, show love and peace to the world, and peace.